everybody. I'm Melissa Banczak, and welcome to episode 63 of Books Cubed, the show where I chat with authors you should be reading. It is Thursday, May 14th, 2020. I can't believe it's May 14th. I think I say that every week. The days are just melting into one. Thankfully, there's one of my Facebook friends every day posts what day it is, or I would never know. Today I thought it was Friday. It's Wednesday. Anyway, well, it's Wednesday my time. It's going to be Thursday when this airs, though. The great show for you this week. We are working from my prompt books that I co-wrote with Lisa Mahoney. Our prompt books. Sorry, Lisa. It's our prompt books. We wrote them together. So she joins me, and our friend Kristina joins us, and we write. And we each roll dice. Well, Lisa rolled for all of us because I packed all my things, and I don't know where the dice are. And I could have traced the dice pattern and then cut it out, but that seemed like a lot of work. So I just had Lisa roll dice for me. And I don't know why Kristina did, but she did too. So Lisa was great. She rolled dice for everybody. And we were given our prompts and we wrote, and you don't have to listen to us chatting with each other. So we get our prompts, we cut, and then we come back to read. So it's short and it's sweet and it's fun. Everybody wrote great stuff today. I had a blast and I can't wait to do it again. It was a nice break. I've been working on June Nash for a long time, a lot of days in a row. So it was really nice to do something that had nothing to do with her. So let's get right to it. I'll see you after.
You ready to go?
Go ahead. Yep.
I am Kristina Nyhouse. I live in Key West, Florida. And
can you move your thing down? We only don't see your chin. Oh, there you are.
Oh,
okay, now we can see your face.
I'm probably not my ceiling fan anymore. Hey, so I'm Kristina Nyhouse. I live in Key West, Florida, and I'm ready to write whatever the dice tells me to write.
Yay. I'm Lisa Mahoney, and I'm also in Florida, more northern, up in St. Augustine, and I have the dice all ready, so eager to see what comes out. It's been a long time since I've done something spontaneous like this, so yes. Eager.
Yeah, this is fun. I've been looking forward to this, and I don't have any dice, so Lisa's going to roll for me because I packed my house thinking I was moving, and I don't want to have to look for them. So, okay, so who wants to roll first? And I'll tell you what I just randomly picked something out of the Genre Mashup. So,
okay. Are we going to write on the same one, or are we going to write different?
Yeah, we all work from the same one. Yeah.
Okay.
So, am I just rolling once and we're all going to do?
No, we all get different numbers. So.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So this is for Kristina.
Okay.
2.
Okay, you have delivery driver.
Oh no.
Oh, it's even, so you're all alone.
What's that mean?
That means you're all by yourself. Sometimes you get 2 characters in this prompt, and sometimes you only get 1.
Okay.
So, okay, and then now you're going to roll.
My character is the delivery driver.
Yeah, okay. And they're all alone, and because they're alone, you're rolling for an object.
Okay. So here's her object number. 1.
A roll of pennies.
Oh.
And
we don't know my genre. We don't know the genre yet, right?
No, well, it's all a little bit everything because this is the mashup, so it has some of the items, some of the elements from all the other books all stuck together.
Oh, so I can make this any genre I want?
Oh, heck yeah. We did this last time we did this. Everybody, I think we worked out of, we didn't work out of horror, but everybody wrote horror. Okay, so now you're rolling for a scenario.
Okay, so here's the third number, a 2 again.
Boss dies in the middle of a job interview.
Boss
dies in the middle of a job interview. And for people listening in the audience, you can take all these and do whatever you want with them. I think one of the examples we use in the book is if you roll and you get a late woman, she could be pregnant. She could be late for an appointment. She could be dead. It's whatever you want to do with what you've rolled. Okay, so go ahead and roll for me. And I got to open up a page here so I can write. Okay, let me get a new page.
Your first one, Melissa, is a 1.
A 1. Okay, I have a stand-up comedian. Oh dear, I'm stand-up
So you get a second character though, right? Because that was an odd.
That's odd. Yes. So I get a second character.
A 6.
A welder. Okay. Oh, geez, I have no clue. Okay. Now I don't get an object, but I get a scenario.
Okay. Another 6.
Is there a troll under that bridge? Oh, geez, I just closed the page accidentally. Hang on. Okay. Is there a troll? Is there a troll under that bridge? Okay. So now, get rid of these. All right. So Lisa, roll.
Yep. 3.
You have a first officer.
Oh.
And you can roll again for a companion.
2.
A delivery driver.
Okay.
And now you get a scenario. Or scenario.
2.
2?
Yep.
Boss dies in the middle of a job interview. And you know,
What a
when
dummy
people get the
boss.
same thing, it's so funny how different everything gets written. Okay, we're gonna write for a little while. I'm gonna turn my light off. So just remind me to turn it back on because I'm gonna cut while we're writing. Okay, so we're doing good. Okay. So
All
let me
right.
turn my light back on. Hang on so I can, there I can see me. Okay, so, okay, who wants to go first?
I'll get it over with.
You wanna get it over with? Okay, let me find.
All right. So should I remind you what I had?
Yes.
Yes, please remind us what you, I just lost I'm trying to find what I just want to make sure I didn't lose it. What did I just, there it is. Okay.
All right.
Remind us what you had.
I had a first officer, a delivery driver, and the boss dies in the middle of a job interview. So it got a little bit twisted around, but whatever. All right. Buddy Simpkins whistled while he drove his bread truck. He sometimes put on the radio, but mostly he liked to feel the air bubbling across his lips and hear the sweet soprano sound. He parked outside of the mini mart and waved to the cashier through the window. As he loaded his bread racks onto the dolly, an ear-piercing screech came around the corner. Sounds and lights and dizzying chaos surrounded him. 2 white-shirted EMTs rushed past him with their gear, mumbling a few directives like step aside, please, and stand back, let us through. But he followed at a respectable distance, forgetting all about his racks on the sidewalk. The 2 EMTs followed the woman pointing to the back office. Buddy's stomach lurched. Could something have happened to his friend Ernie? He pushed on a few shoulders of the small crowd that had gathered by the back office and worked his way up to just outside of the frame. The police had not arrived yet, so the curiosity allowed for the shoppers and workers to get closer than they should have. Taped on the door in stark Sharpie was a note that said, "Interview in progress." Buddy then saw the blood. It covered the wall and most of Ernie's haphazard desk. Ernie, whose chair just about touched the far wall of the small office, sat with eyes wide and what appeared to be a simple gunshot to the forehead. Blocking the entryway was a second body. The uniform was instantly recognizable, from the crisp white collar, now also covered in blood, to the black epaulets draped over the shoulders. With utter horror, Buddy shuddered and whispered, "Dad?"
I like it.
I love it.
That's good. That's good. We have 9 minutes and 33 seconds. Should we do one more and then we'll cut and then come back?
Okay. You want me to go?
Yeah. Either I can go or you can go.
Okay. So I had delivery driver solo. Oh, I forgot that part. Anyway, roll of pennies and boss dies in the middle of a job interview. So.
Oh, wait, what was the last one? Oh, boss dies. That's right.
Boss dies in the middle of the job interview. So Fred did not expect to have gotten the job so easily, but when the boss dies in the middle of the job interview, apparently it increased the odds, and he hadn't meant to do it. That's why he wanted to be a delivery driver. on the road, on his own, not having to worry about his thoughts straying. But they'd strayed during the interview. He couldn't help it. The office had been too hot, too still, and the lady, the one that would have been Fred's boss, wore too much perfume, something flowery and old smelling, like his grandmother used to wear, and wear too much of. So while the lady was talking about schedules and routes and shipments, she had her eyes on the paper in front of her. Fred felt his eyes start to roll. He knew if she looked up, she would see it, just the white, nothing else. She must have looked. When Fred's eyes returned, the boss lady lay slumped on her desk. Fred stood abruptly, his foot hitting a roll of pennies on the floor, causing him to fall back and land hard. At the sound of the crashing chair, the assistant burst in from the reception area. "Sally," he exclaimed, and rushed to the other side of the desk. Fred reached down and picked up the pennies. He liked to have a memento, even when the death was unexpected. "I don't know what happened," he said to the young assistant. "She just grabbed her head and then dropped." Fred picked up the phone to call 911. The assistant lightly shook the body. "Sally, can you hear me? Oh my God, there's blood." Fred knew it was an aneurysm. It was always an aneurysm. He thought he had control. He thought he could control it. The roll of pennies shifted in his pants pocket as he reached to hang up the phone. "The ambulance is on the way," he said, figuring delivery service was now short-staffed, and he had another new job. So I forgot the alone part.
Oh.
I was like, oh shoot, he was supposed to be, but how can you have a job interview with a boss that's going to die on your own?
Yeah.
So anyway.
But you know what? All you have is the one person to start. He's alone to start, but you can add people later.
Yeah.
You know, this is just a starting point. So you can do whatever you want with these things, whatever you want.
Fun.
Okay. Do you want to take our break? And then I know you had something to do real quick, Lisa. It's almost 20 of, so we'll take our break and then I'll resend the link, a new link for us to finish up in at 1:45.
Okay.
Sure. Yep.
Okay. So in a couple minutes.
Good.
Okay, we are back. So everybody had their stories. I will read mine.
What was your stuff?
Yeah, remind us.
Okay, so I got a stand-up comedian, a welder, and is there a troll under the bridge?
That's awesome.
Okay. Hank had had enough. He packed up his torch, left a note for his mother, and jumped on his Vespa. He was going to see the world. He drove for about an hour, leaving the hustle and bustle of Clover City, and took the first exit off the highway. He wanted to experience the world, and the highway was boring. Wide packed roads led to narrow, winding lanes, and billboards and exhausts melted into green grass and grazing cows. Hank had driven for about 4 hours, when he spotted a roadside stand. Pies! And probably stuff that his mother would want him to eat. He parked the Vespa a short distance so he could stretch his legs just a bit and turned away from the stand to check the contents of his wallet. The lone occupant being the 20 he'd gotten for his birthday. He tucked it into a front pocket and walked to the stand. And there were pies and veggies that his mother always made for him eat before he could get his slice. Knock, knock. Hank looked around. He didn't see anyone. Nobody near the register. Nobody in the line behind him. I said, knock, knock. Hank dropped his eyes, followed the voice. A tiny man was standing on a watermelon. He was wearing coveralls and cowboy boots, and a tiny little hat covered his tiny little head. Hank's mother had always taught him to be polite. That's why he'd written a note when he'd run away. Hello, Hank said. That's not what you're supposed to say. The man tapped a boot on the green rind of the melon and held onto the toothpick that had been jammed into place beside him. I don't understand, Hank said. I'm trying to tell you a joke. Oh, what had the man said? Ah, yes, a knock-knock joke. Who's there? Radish, the little man said. Radish who? Hank asked. Radish, my eyes are crying. And the little man laughed so hard he almost fell off the watermelon. Hank didn't know what to do. He didn't get the joke. Don't you get it? It was a girl's voice. He looked down at the box of strawberries. There was a little girl. The troll gets it. She pointed at Hank. What troll? He asked. He wasn't a troll. Behind you, she said. Hank turned around and was eaten by the troll, who then paid his $5 to the little man in the watermelon and headed back to his bridge. See you both tomorrow.
Oh, I love the stand-up comedian. The little man.
Like him, he's stomping his foot, stomping the cowboy boot on the watermelon. That was a riot. That was great.
I tell you, I panicked for about 5 of the minutes trying to figure out what the hell to write.
Well, as I said to you, mine got turned around. My first role was the first officer, but Buddy, the delivery driver, sort of came to me first as being the main character, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You know, sometimes that happens, you know?
Cool.
They're fun. This is fun.
Yeah, this was fun. I had a blast. Thank you guys so much for coming today and doing this. And, you know, I mean, does anybody have anything they want to tell people about? I mean, I've got my new book. Buy my new book. It's out there. I'll put a link in the show notes. It just came out on the 10th.
Yay.
Nope, no news yet.
Nothing yet. Still working on my draft.
Yep.
They'll get there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the never-ending drafts. Draft after draft.
Well, no.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're a writer, you will understand that it's just like never ending. You always seem to be working on the draft of something, you know, and then finally you just have to kind of let go and put it out there in the world and see what they have to say, which is why I really like doing these short writing prompts.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the goal is to write a complete short story, and I have the worst time being short and writing a small story. And Lisa, you write really good short stories all the time, and I know you probably do too, Kristina, because I think you've done a bunch, haven't you? A bunch of
awards, yeah.
Yeah,
and you have a bunch of awards, and
yeah. And I just did I did a 100-word challenge this weekend.
100 words. Yikes.
100 words. Yeah, let me tell you, that's not a lot. It's not a lot of words.
Yeah,
but it's
tough.
Good. It's good practice to really.
And that was a time constraint too. I think that's what kind of, you know, it bubbles up. One, I think some panic, like you said, you know, Melissa, but also I think it forces you to just kind of let go of your inhibitions and just say, well, who cares, you know? So you had 24 hours, right, to write yours?
Yep. And I started overthinking it, as I do everything, because I got historical fiction. And so the first thing that came to my mind, I went away from it. And then the next thing that came to my mind, I started thinking about that. And I started overthinking it, as I do. And then I was like, well, what do I know about World War II? So let me focus on something else. Then I went back to the World War II thought, and I was like, well, let me just write this dialogue. And so I wrote the dialogue, and I found out that I was already at 50 words. So I'm like, well, it's not like I have to research a lot about World War II because I don't have a lot of words. So it was. I
loved, so Kristina let me read it, and I really did love the dialogue. And in some ways, it reminded me of Hills Like White Elephants, you know, that had that kind of ambiguousness in the dialogue, and you don't really know, they're kind of talking around each other, and so it was good.
It was fun. And just not a lot of time, so I didn't worry that, oh my God, I'm not focusing on my novel or whatever. It was 24 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
24 hours and you're done. So now I'm on to something else.
Yeah. Well, you know, if you're listening out there and you want to play too, I will put the elements in the show notes, and all you have to do is roll dice. There'll be instructions in there. And if you write something and you want to have us read it on the show, or you want to include it, just go down to the links in the show notes. If you're on the podcast, it'll be like the first link, and then go ahead and drop us a note and include whatever you'd like to include for us to read. And if you're on YouTube watching, you know what to do. And thank you both for coming on.
Oh, it was fun.
This was a lot of fun.
This was fun. This was fun. We'll do this again. We do this about once a month. So we'll do this again soon.
All right.
Thanks, ladies.
We will have some real stories from the real world again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, ladies. If you would like to play along, drop down to the show notes, grab a 6-sided dice, and have at it. And if you would like to share what you wrote, just leave it in the comments and tell me that I have permission to read it if you want me to read it out on here on a future date. Otherwise, just leave it there for other people to find. And if you're on YouTube, you know how to comment. But if you're on the podcast, make sure that you drop down to that special link that I have. Otherwise, I'll never see it. So thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for joining me today. And I will see you next week. And in the meantime, go read a good book.